Hello, and welcome to Marketplace with Charles, brought to you by Art of Skincare. Art of Skincare, the company that brings out the beauty in you, as well as our new sponsor, Kowisa Lodge, situated in the heart of Mabalingo Nature Reserve. I am Charles Ngobeni. On Marketplace, we aim to empower, encourage, and equip you with the right tools needed for you to move closer to you achieving your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week, we bring you insights from experts in different fields of business, from men and women of faith, but also from ordinary people from all walks of life. Today, we meet someone whose expertise will greatly influence the way you run your business and how you interact with both your customers and suppliers in a manner that is guaranteed to add value to your business. She has a wealth of experience in the areas of credit disputes and consumer protection, which are her passion. She has worked with several notable institutions before she resumed her current position as an acting ombudsman at the Office of the Consumer Goods and Services, Ombud. I'm not even too sure whether it's an ombudswoman or it's an ombudsman, but I hope she's going to tell us more about that. And you don't want to miss this value add. At the end of the show, we are also going to give you an opportunity to win a weekend away from home, sponsored by Kowisa Lodge. Stay tuned, because you don't want to miss that. Doing business in the 21st century is not only interesting, it's also challenging and demanding of one to be savvy in all areas that have to do with business. The environment is ever-changing and requires all its actors to remain on the cutting edge of this changing in order to be a winner. Today's consumer is aware of its right as the goods and services provider is, which sets you, the business person, in a very challenging situation when it comes to your delivery and whatever goods and services you provide. Also, as a service provider, you also assume the role of a consumer, of which you must be in the loop regarding your rights in that area as well. My guest today will be discussing issues that concerns everyone that has anything to do with goods and services in their lives, whether on the giving or the receiving end of the supply chain. Viewers out there, help me welcome Magauta today in your living room, in your hotel room, or wherever you may be watching this show. Magauta, welcome to Marketplace with Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
It's my pleasure to have you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I heard you giving a talk one stage.
Yes.
And it was brilliant. And out of that talk, I got helped. You remember?
Yes, you lodged a complaint with us.
I lodged a complaint.
Yes.
And it took few hours to receive a call from the supplier.
Yes.
And that's why I love you so much.
That is our job. I'm glad we did a good job to assist you.
And you are doing a great job, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here.
Yes.
But unfortunately, most of the people are not even aware of an ombudsman.
Yes.
They're not aware of the role of an ombudsman. Can you briefly tell our viewers who is Magauta?
Magauta Mphahlele is, like you said, the current acting ombudsman for consumer goods and services.
Ombudsman.
Ombudsman.
And you're a woman.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. No further question or
I
worship.
thought there were more important things to debate than the title.
Okay.
Okay. And she also owns her own company, which is called Itusen Credit Solutions. We assist consumers as well with disputes that they have with banks and other credit providers, as well as assist them when they cannot pay. We settle issues outside of court because we know court is very expensive, so we mediate settlements out of court.
Is that your own private company?
Yes, it's my own private company. It's a 100% female-owned company. I have a partner, another female partner, that is running it, and our main work is done in the mines.
I'd like to have the two females in my studio.
We will be glad to come here.
I'd like to know much about that.
Yes.
But for today, let's concentrate on the ombudsman. Your job has much to do with dispute resolution, am I correct?
Yes, it's solely to do with dispute resolution. In South Africa, anybody who is buying or selling goods and services, those processes are regulated by the Consumer Protection Act. Because the
CPA.
The CPA.
Okay.
The Consumer Protection Act gives consumers rights, and it also gives the suppliers of those goods and services responsibilities. Now, if in the process of trading and exchanging goods and services, the consumer and the supplier end up having a dispute that they amongst themselves are not able to resolve, then the matter can be escalated to us. Because in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, if a consumer is not happy with how the supplier has treated them, they have the option of going to the National Consumer Commission, which is the main regulator of the industry.
Okay.
As an alternative to approaching the regulator, the law allows them to come to us, which is the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman, which is an entity that has been approved by the Minister of Trade and Industry in terms of the Consumer Protection Act. So all suppliers in the industry who provide goods and services that are regulated by the Consumer Protection Act are able to escalate matters to us to resolve, if between themselves and the consumer they are not able to resolve the complaint.
But sometimes we're taken for a ride.
Yes.
For instance, in my case, you remember when I came to you and I lodged my complaint?
Yes.
I bought some services. And I went out of the shop. Right at the door, I realized what they gave me is not what I ordered.
Yes.
And I took it back. Same time.
Yes.
And the guy said 10% penalty, which I had to forfeit immediately. And on top of that, he showed me my receipt. On top of the receipt, it's clearly indicated any services that is being returned, you'll be charged 10%. But I haven't been out of the shop. And the guy gave me the wrong product.
Yes.
It's not what I've ordered, but I had to pay 10%. That's why I had to search for you.
Yes, I hope we can go back and get that 10% back for you. In terms of the Consumer Protection Act, there are different instances under which a consumer can return goods and services. Okay. Now, in your case, for example, if a consumer has ordered a particular product or a particular service and has specified what they require or what type of product or service they require, and the supplier does not deliver exactly what the consumer had ordered, the consumer has the right to return and reject that product without any penalty. Also, when the goods are defective, let's say they deliver the right product, but that product is defective,
yes.
You have 6 months within which you can return that product without any penalty.
Cooling off period.
No, the cooling off period applies, yes, it's something else.
Okay.
You do have the cooling off period is 5 days if it relates to you entered into a contract through direct marketing. Most of the time, direct marketing would be telephonically. There you have 5 days to change your mind, because most of the time with direct marketing, you did not decide that you want to go and buy something. Somebody calls you and sells you and markets that product to you. So it's an instant decision, and a lot of times there's a bit of pressure because the other person is a salesperson. So the Act gives you 5 days to change your mind. But you cannot just change your mind if you went to the store to buy, but unless the product is defective or it is not what you ordered.
But these guys, the suppliers,
Yes.
they give you a tough time when you have to return.
Yes.
I remember there's another company which keeps on phoning. They say, we'll advertise your business on yellow pages.
Yes.
And they are not yellow pages.
Yes.
It's simply because their
They've got
product,
space, yes.
their advertising book It's yellow in color. So when they phone you, they say, no, well, I want to advertise your business on yellow pages, and you're going to get so much awareness and everything. And they don't even speak to the responsible person.
Okay.
Anybody who picks up the phone. The next thing, you are listed.
Okay, so that...
And the worst part of it, when you are listed there, the way that you pay them, it's linked to your telecom account.
So you'll also be affected by telco.
You are affected because if you do not pay,
yes, they switch off.
You have got arrears, and then telecom switches you off.
Okay.
And you go to telecom, they said, no, it's not ours. That's a separate company.
Yes, I think we have received complaints in that regard. In terms of the Consumer Protection Act, that would fall under misleading advertising. Because, for example, you've said that they claim to be yellow pages, because all of us, when you say yellow pages, we know what you mean by yellow pages. We know who they are. So if somebody then comes and claims to be what they are not, that would be misleading advertising in terms of the Consumer Protection Act. And a consumer can definitely lodge a complaint against that entity. And I did also want to address the issue of penalties, because there are instances where suppliers can charge you a penalty if you cancel a contract. Usually, in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, you are allowed to enter into contracts that are not more than 2 years. So that would be mainly your gym contracts, your cell phone contracts. As you will remember, most of them are 2 years, because the Act says they must be 2 years. If they say they can be 3 years, they must show that it will be of benefit to you. Now, if you have a 2-year gym contract and you want to cancel it before the 2 years finishes, they have the right to charge you a penalty. The only time you are allowed to cancel that contract without a penalty is if you entered in the contract in a misleading manner. And we have seen instances where the salespeople will mislead you and say, just come for 1 week to try out the gym, and the next thing you are in a contract and you did not know it. Okay? And in both instances, you do have to give them notice. So before the 2 years ends, they have to send you a letter that reminds you that your contract is coming to an end, and you have the option to cancel or to renew.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't say anything, the contract then operates on a month-by-month basis, which means you can cancel any time by giving a month's notice. In that instance, after the 2 years, there's no penalty. But before the 2 years ends and you want to cancel, there is a penalty. But the penalty is not outlined in the Act. The Act says a reasonable penalty. So it's up to them. But if you as a consumer feels that the penalty that they are charging you is too much, you can still lodge a complaint with either the regulator or the Ombud.
But I've got a problem with some of these contracts.
Yes.
Like, for instance, speaking of the gym, recently I've got a friend who went to the gym.
Yes.
December is very quiet, January is very quiet.
Yes.
And the salespeople there, they end by commission.
Yes.
They have to push the sales. And the person went there, they offered her a 2 months free membership,
yes,
or which they called a trial period.
Yeah.
But in the first month, she was surprised. They debited 1,950.
Yes, that's why I'm saying to you, a lot of the time, it depends how you enter that contract, because from what you are saying, we would consider that to be a misleading manner, because the free trial, obviously there should be a document that they give to you that says this is a free trial for 2 months, you are on a free trial. Free means free. And we have had complaints like that where we had said they cannot charge that penalty because they said to you it's a trial period for 2 months, no obligation, which means that no obligation means you don't have to enter further into the 2-year contract, because a trial, you are meant to test something, not to take it up.
But my challenge with that is that when you go back to complain, they show you a 22-page
contract
that you have signed. in small and fine print.
Yes.
And now it's only then that you realize, oh, this is what I've signed. And when you sign the contract, you do not have that luxury and the time to sit down and go word for word. You do not even have the luxury to take it to your legal representative to vet it for you. Otherwise, it even becomes more expensive than the contract itself.
Yes.
You know, you don't even have those experts. You trust the salesperson. If the salesperson says it's free trial, and now when you go back and complain, they say, no, the contract says it was never free.
Yes. Okay. Obviously, in that instance, we will have to investigate the circumstances under which you entered into the contract. And if it can be proven that they misled you into signing that contract, then the consumer would have the right of cancellation without any penalties. But I also said, you know, rights come with responsibilities.
Yes.
As consumers, we also need to be responsible before we enter into these agreements. Even if you don't read the whole contract. For example, if somebody says it's a free trial, ask them to write on top of the contract. You don't have to read the 22 pages. Just say, sign here, write free trial, and sign your name. Okay. So that there is a form of confirmation of what they said. So whatever the salesperson say to you, tell them to write it on the contract. That is what, because you don't have time to read. And for a free trial, I don't understand why you would need to sign 22 pages for something that is going to last 2 months. So we also need to be very careful and understand our rights when we enter into these contracts.
No, because take a gym, for instance. They give you a 2 months free trial. For you to gain access to the gym, you need a card. And for them to generate the card, there must be a form that you complete.
Yes.
Which that form, at the end of the day,
it binds you.
It binds you and becomes form of a contract of some sort.
Yes,
it can be challenging.
You do have to enter into a contract, but I'm just saying in terms of the salient issues where he says to you, it's a free trial. Then he must write on top there that it's a free trial. No obligation. Because when they make you sign all these things, obviously it's hidden. And like you say, they have an incentive to mislead you because they are paid on the basis of how many contracts, how many people they sign up into the gym. So all of us need to be careful and not just sign anything. But the Act is also protective because the specific provisions in the contract have to be fair and not misleading. So the contract itself can be investigated to ensure that it is in line with the requirements of the Act.
But do you feel, is there enough awareness by the general public about your office and what you are doing? Because the only way that I found of your services is when I had issues. And for your information, I had this issue for more than 6 months.
And
I didn't even know where to go. What I did when I returned the product, they said, no, 10% penalty. I said to them, I'm not buying that. And I took their products. I left it with the general manager in the store. I said, keep my money, keep my product. Whenever I've got time,
I'll come back.
And after I met you 6 months later, it was a matter of an email. Within few seconds, the head office responded.
Yes.
But the question is there any information out there to the general public?
Well, we think we are engaged in many efforts where we advise consumers about the existence of our office, but also their rights in terms of the Consumer Protection Act. There is no radio station that we have not been on. There is no consumer television program that we have not been on. I mean, Speak Out, Ilungelo Lakho, we are always there. All the major radio stations give us free slots. We don't even have to pay for them because we issue newsletters and press releases on consumer rights. In all the provinces, we have what we call consumer protection officers. We have a relationship with all of them in all 9 provinces. And we also collaborate with them in doing workshops in rural areas. So we do make a huge effort to go out there and inform consumers about our existence. We also have a Facebook page and a website. So we receive complaints from all over South Africa. But what I know about consumers is that sometimes if you are not in trouble at that time,
yes,
you are not interested. The only time you will say, okay, where do I go, is when there's a problem. And the other thing that is important to note is that all suppliers who subscribe to our code are supposed, on their windows, to have a decal that tells the consumer that we are part of the Ombud, and these are the telephone numbers and contact details that you should use in case you are not happy with us. Obviously, because the code is about 4 years old, so you see, like in the insurance sector, when you take that contract, they do give you the details of the short-term insurance ombudsman, the long-term insurance ombudsman. So that is also what we are going to drive now, that in the contracts that you receive at the gym or wherever, they should have our contact details, because that is also the best way of informing the consumer about our existence.
But if one thinks of the word Ombud, the main thing that comes into my mind is just complain, and more complain. Is that the lifeblood of your office?
Not only that, our responsibility is obviously, the main responsibility is to resolve disputes between consumers and suppliers. But what we also do, because you cannot allow the same behavior to continue. So in order to stop some of the bad behavior that we see, we do engage with the suppliers to say, this product is not good, this service is not good, your contracts are not compliant, you need to change them. So we do have that engagement to improve how they deal with consumers, because you cannot receive 100 complaints from one entity and you leave matters like that. Obviously, something has to change. So our secondary responsibility is to ensure that suppliers change their behavior, their conduct, their products and their services if those products are not suitable. For example, we have the right to request the National Consumer Commission to withdraw products from the market where the products are misleading and are not compliant. Our third responsibility is to educate consumers about their rights and responsibilities, so that we prevent some of these issues from occurring. Because if you know your rights, you will make informed decisions and you won't sign that contract without reading it. Or before reading it, you will call our office and you will ask questions and you will be answered, because we are also there to give information to consumers, to advise them and to direct them, because sometimes they come to us to complain about a matter that we are not responsible for. So we will give you advice to say, this is the right place to go. Before you sign, you call us and say, this supplier says this and this, is this right? Then we'll say, no, it's right or it's not right. So we also advise and give information.
On a given day, how many complaints do you have?
Okay.
Just a rough estimation. And why still on that? I need you to explain it to me. You know, as people of color, we're not used of complaining. You give me anything, I take it. Do you see any shift in that thinking?
Well, we do see our complaints increasing. I think per month we deal with about 500 complaints, because our annual statistics in the last financial year, we were standing close to 6,000 complaints and about, I think, 16 or 17,000 calls to our call center. So we do see an increase, especially when we go on television, on radio, we create that awareness, then we do see an increase in complaints. And the National Consumer Commission also refers complaints to us, because their role is to do more wider investigations than to resolve day-to-day complaints. So yes, people are beginning to complain. And also what we see with the advent of social media, because we also have a tracking company company that tracks anybody who mentions our name on social media, on Facebook, and we pick up the complaints from there. Because sometimes consumers these days, because of social media, instead of complaining directly to the supplier, they will just post it on Facebook. Yeah. And when they mention us, we are able to pick it up, call them, and then allow them to follow the correct procedure to complain.
And what will a complaint be in your world?
We do have about 6 categories of complaints, which are the top 5 complaints that we receive. The main one is goods that are being defective before the 6 months warranty. Remember, I said that in terms of the Act, you have 6 months within which, if anything goes wrong with a product that you have bought, you have the right to return it without any penalty, unless, of course, you've tampered with it. So we get a lot of complaints about defective goods. And then we also get a lot of complaints about bad service. You know, that I was not treated well, I was not treated fairly. Sometimes a consumer is moved from pillar to post. No one knows what to do. You know, like yourself, you spoke maybe to 3 or 4 people before your matter was resolved. So that is bad service. No one listened to you. No one tried to understand your problem until somebody from outside intervened. So we get a lot of those complaints. We get a lot of complaints about cancellations of gym contracts, of cell phone contracts. We get a lot of those complaints. Recently, we are seeing a rise in complaints relating to online purchases, where people send money, because online, you don't know the person, you don't know the company, you like the product, you send them the money, and they don't deliver the product. So we are saying to consumers they must be very careful when it comes to online trading. They must ensure that they know who they are engaging with, and they mustn't just send out their money. So those are the main complaints that we receive.
You see, sometimes people have got a tendency of underestimating or undermining some other people. The most complaints that I've seen personally, it's when I'm in my shorts, in my teki, and my T-shirt.
Yes.
And when I start complaining, nobody takes me serious. But when I'm in my suit,
yes,
everybody takes me serious.
Unfortunately, you know, yes.
It's a challenge. Why can't we be treated the same way? And that's the reason why in my business, where I'm supposed to sell burgers, I no longer sell burgers.
You sell service.
I sell speed and service.
Yes.
And keep the till ringing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time.
All right.
Without a break.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to get hold of Ombud, what will they do? What contact should they punch on the system?
Well, the best way to contact us is through our website, because our website contains the information about the different channels that you can use to contact us, which is email, telephone, walk-in, or fax. Our website address is www.cgso.org.za.
And my website is charlesngobeni.com. I'm also on Instagram, Charles_Ngobeni. If you want to win a holiday at Kowisa Lodge, log onto my Facebook, Charles Ngobeni. And if you like my page, you may be on your way to Mabalingwe Nature Reserve. God bless you. See you next time, same place, same channel. Charles Ngobeni signing off on Marketplace.